Feliciano, and I'm from Queens, New York.
I'm Alex Feliciano, and I'm from the Bronx, New York.
How long have you guys been married?
What, 15?
14 years. You're better at this than I am.
Normally I am. Yeah, it's 14 years.
14 years.
But we've been together for 16.
Okay, so you guys dated for 2 years and you got married.
Yes.
Yep.
How did you know Miriam was the right person for you?
The true story is, me and Miriam were friends for a while before we started dating. I met Miriam when she was 15, and so I was 17, and we were friends for a while, and I was actually dating another girl at the time. This is years later. I went to go visit her in her church in Queens, and when I got back, I told my mom, I said, hey, I went to go visit a friend of mine this is a true story, a church in Queens. And she said to me, no lies, in these exact words, she said, that's the woman you're going to marry.
And then when I got home,
that's
my mom was like, she was like, that guy that came over to the church, because she saw that, I knew him, and I introduced them. She said, who is he? So I said, oh, he's my cousin's friend, Wheaton, and she knew a little bit about him. And she said, that's the guy that you're going to marry. So that was like in the same day.
My mom never even seen her. She just said, that's the one.
Being so young, like, how did you take that? Like, you're a teenager and your mother is telling you about marriage. Like, how did you personally take that?
I'm a mama's boy. So when, I don't know, I've always been the type of person that when I see other people do things and make mistakes, I learn from it. And I learned quickly at a young age that when my mom told me stuff, that it was always for my benefit. She would never steer me in a direction that was bad. So because she was so quick to say that, I was just like, well, my mom's not going to lead me in a bad direction. And once she met Miriam that first time, she was like, this is absolutely, she was like, confirmed, like, she was like, that's the one, for sure. So I knew, I don't know, I just kind of knew that my mom wasn't going to steer me in the wrong way. So I don't think my intention were to get married super young, but I knew that I wanted to pursue it from there.
And me, I think I was like, oh, whatever. That's just my mom. And, I took a liking to him, but he wasn't the most attractive guy to me at that time. But I was just like, we'll see, because I really I never dated guys like that for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. So I said, we'll see. But as far as marriage, I never saw myself really getting married. So I kind of just brushed it off.
And of course you guys were so young, like 15 and 17. I don't think anybody's really thinking about marriage at that age.
No, I wasn't.
No.
So when did you guys actually start courting? Like in an official committed relationship?
I think a week after he came over to the church, because we were friends, but we were that's when AOL started. So we would talk a lot on the phone, or no, more online. And then after he came to my church, a week after, he asked me to go out with him. And so I went after school, and I think that's when he asked me in a little note, do you want to be my girlfriend? And he was like, yes or no, check. And I was like, corny, but I put yes. And then that was it.
Well, I think for me, before that, I put a sign before God. I don't know if she remembers this, but I said, God, if she's the one, I want her to make that move, be the one to make that move. So she grabbed my hand and she said, when are you going to ask me out?
That sounds like Mary.
Yeah. It's pretty much how she got proposed to also.
When are you going to give me the ring?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went. So when that happened, I was like, okay, like, this is it. Like, I got my confirmation. So from there, I just, like, I knew that I let her, let her stew in it, because I didn't want to be seem like super desperate, like right when she asked me, like right now, will you be my girlfriend? I didn't want to come off super desperate, even though I probably was at that time. But I just kind of waited. I think like a week or so after that is when
he broke up with the girl before he asked me out.
Yeah, I broke up with the girl the same day that I went to the church. That night.
Before you went to the church, or after you went to church?
No, after I went to church. After my mom told me that, I called the girl and I was like, look, it's over. And she was like, what did I do? I was like, you didn't do anything. I'm just letting you know it's over.
You want to know something that I've learned that I've been taught at church, that when somebody breaks up with you, or things don't work out, it sometimes doesn't have anything to do with you. You're
Yeah.
just not that right person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think that a lot of women, because we're taught marriage, kids, things like that, we kind of miss that, and we kind of get this complex, like, okay, well, this guy dumped me, so
Yeah.
it must be me.
Something I did wrong.
Yeah.
So my pastor taught me is that men are looking to build a team, and so they're looking to see who fits right with them.
Right.
So you said that your mother told you that Miriam was the one. Like at that age, like how did you see your life?
No, I didn't know. I just thought, I knew she was, I knew I saw some characteristics in her that I appreciated. One, she was very family oriented. That was attractive to me because I come from a very family oriented family. So I knew that she was very caring about her sisters and her brother. So I knew that would translate over to a person who would be a good mother.
Okay.
So that was attractive to me. Two, she was very serious about the things of God. Like, when I met her, she was like, no nonsense. Now, to a point where it was a fault. Like, I remember her getting into an argument with her own pastor at like 17 and getting called into the pastor's office. But it was because she was passionate about stuff. So that to me was good because I knew that she was assertive. I like assertive women.
Yeah.
I've always liked that about I want a woman to be like assertive.
Okay.
So that was something that drew me to her. So I guess like her characteristics, the ways that she was, were like kind of things that I said, I can build something with her. I knew she was very she wasn't a girl that was out in the streets or, hanging out with people late at night, none of that stuff. I knew that she was at home helping her mother, like cleaning up, that kind of stuff. It reminded me a lot of my mom, the things that I saw in her.
Are you guys both the oldest children?
No, she's the youngest.
Oh, and you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
Okay. So, Miriam, growing up, like, what did your parents teach you about sex?
My father never spoke to us really about it, but my mom, she always engraved in us, sex is the most.
Which she still says, by the way.
She still says it. It's the most ugliest, nastiest, disgusting act that one can do outside of the marriage. But within the marriage is the most pleasant, she says it in Spanish, so I'm trying to like translate it in my head, but most desirable, most beautiful thing that one can have it within the marriage. And even though I'm like, Ma, I don't want to hear that, at the same time, she always said it, so it was something that I was always about, like, yes, inside the marriage is when I will have that moment. But outside of the marriage, I didn't dare to, because that's something she like kind of engraved in us.
Wow. I wish somebody had put it to me like that.
Yeah, her mother still says that
and she will still say it.
Are your parents still together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
They're pastors in New Jersey.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And your
so we're
parents
both PKs, yeah.
But my parents became pastors after, like, within the last 4 years.
But
Okay.
my
they were always in
dad
ministry.
started pastoring when I was 12, so I was already kind of.
into the whole preacher's kid type thing.
No, I was already older then. I was
Like,
almost a teenager.
we weren't
Okay.
born into the PK life.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We were already established as Christians.
By the time
but
he started when I was 12, going on like 13, so I was already.
we just saw our parents work in ministry.
Okay. And then when you guys got older, that's
Yeah.
when they actually established your own church. What did your parents tell you about sex?
My dad. I remember my dad had a conversation with me always, and my dad is big about family and stuff like that. And one thing about my dad that I can remember was always about. He always emphasized about me being with Christian girls, always.
Okay.
And that was one thing about him. He was like, in fact, he would like push church girls on me, like, look, go talk to that one, And so it was a big deal. And I remember having a girlfriend who wasn't Christian and sitting at the table, and the first thing he said to me was, I said, yeah, I got a girlfriend. And the first thing he said was, my dad doesn't, you gotta understand, at home he doesn't speak up much. He doesn't talk much at home. So he was like, is she a Christian? And I said, no. And he says, I don't like it. He said, what business do you have as a Christian with a non-Christian? You shouldn't be unequally yoked,
Wow.
So I took it like, he was just trying to be hard on me or whatever. But now in looking back, I look at it like, it's kind of like a blessing because he taught me even though at the time I looked at it like him just being super strict, I'm glad he was like that because it steered me in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the sex goes, my dad was big on Christian dating other Christians. He didn't care like if it was black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Indian. As long as she was Christian, he didn't care.
Okay.
He was like, so Miriam actually went to a different kind of church from us. Her church was more
liberal.
More liberal.
Okay.
And so we were really, really strict at the time. So he didn't even care about that. He was just like, because the girls weren't allowed to wear pants in our church and stuff like that. And he didn't even care about that. He was just like, as long as she's a Christian, as long as she has Jesus in her life and her family comes from a Christian house, I don't care. Just do it. So, he took to Miriam quickly, which I thought he might not have. Because when she came with her, pants on and the earrings, I thought for sure my dad was going to be like, no. But he took to her quickly, and he fell in love with Miriam too. So, it was always about getting married first. My dad always taught me, sex is after marriage. And that should be the furthest thing from your mind till you get to being married.
Right.
So
when as you guys are dating, so you guys started dating at 15. When did you guys get married?
She was 18 and I was just 20. I was 20.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
Yep.
So in your courtship, did you guys make an agreement like we're gonna wait? How did that come about?
We would speak about it briefly, or there were moments obviously when you start. He was my first kiss as well, so he was my first everything. So there were things that I was very unexperienced with, but once you start dating, you start the kissing and you start the touching and things like that. That's when we would have to tell one of us would have to be like, no, put
95% of the time it was her.
Yeah. So then afterwards,
I give her credit because she was like.
No,
that's one thing I loved about Miriam was like
because afterwards I felt guilty. I knew that that's not what God wanted us to be doing. So I would after he would go home that evening when we would speak on the phone. That would be something that we would speak about. Like we kind of took it a little too far that time or whatever. I don't want it to
never too far.
Never too far, but to me,
right.
To me, I felt like we were taking it a little far. Where if we kept on, it could lead to other things.
Right.
So that's when I would, say we can't do this, or then I would, we would have to tell each other, well, then we need to have somebody with us, like a chaperone, because I didn't want it to get to that point.
And we did that for a while, where I would take my little brother, or she would take her sister. We would work it between my brother or her sister was always with us when we went out.
That's amazing. And then one thing I know that in relationships, it's a big thing about communications. Like we can't just skate over this, that we kind of went too far and we know that we want to wait. So what I'm hearing is like you guys really you said before, like you guys built a friendship.
Yeah.
So you guys always have had like a great communication.
Always.
So we can talk about this like, I'm in love with you, but we have to wait. Yeah. So like as your love progressed, did it get harder to...
Yeah, because first comes the kiss, and then comes touching, and then you progressively get a little more into the intimate. You test your boundaries, or you go a little further this time. So yeah, there were definitely times that we what was the question? There was a word that you used
when you guys were like, as your love progressed.
It got harder. It definitely got harder.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it got harder as your feelings intensified for each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So wow. So you guys have 2 daughters. How old are your children?
11 and 3.
Have you had the talk with your 11-year-old?
No.
I've had little talks with her about, as a father, I've had to talk with her like, you gotta understand that there's going to be men out there that are going to look at you not like you, Leilani, and like as a sexual object. Mm-hmm. And I've, not in those exact words, but I've talked to her about that. So I've talked to her about, you're developing as a young lady, so you got to carry yourself in a certain way. You got to be mindful that people are going to say things and try things, and you just got to be mindful of that, because that's reality, and I want her to be prepared for that.
I haven't gotten into depth on how to do it. And I guess I've never, even me, my parents never spoke to me in depth about what sex is. I kind of learned, as a kid because of my siblings or friends in school. So that's something that I still haven't, I haven't gone into. Like, how do I do this?
My dad was a paramedic my whole life, so he kind of approached it from a biological standpoint. Like, this is your thing, and you know.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, well, he can break it down like a science experiment. But you gotta,
maybe that's what you could do with her.
But you gotta understand that's his background. Like he taught what he knew. Like that's how he knew. That's how he approached it.
He did it better than
your dad.
Yeah.
Do you think you guys are gonna have like the sit down conversation with Leilani? Like,
yeah, I definitely want to, because I want to be able to prepare her, and I really value the thought of not treating a girl or a female like she's just a female, or like she's ancillary to anything a man does. I really feel like she can be, and Kara can be, anything they want to be in life.
Okay.
And I in order to do that, I want her to know the truth about these things, because I see sometimes, like, I have a little cousin who's coming up, and she's super smart. She's been accepted to several different colleges, but she's like super boy crazy and worried about what the guys think about her and blah blah blah. And I don't want, and that's natural in a way, but I don't think her mom sits down and says, look, if you put yourself in this position, this is how a man's going to treat you. If you do this, this is how what a man's going to do to you. I want to be able to have full, transparency with her and say, this is what happens if you put yourself out like this. If you do this, this is how men are going to see you. But if you keep yourself professional and you treat yourself as a professional and you treat yourself with respect and dignity, men are going to treat you with respect and dignity. And if the same way she did, she was quick to say, no, I'm not that type of girl. And so I had to treat her that way. So I want to be able to give her all of that and just have that conversation so she can go out and I'm pretty comfortable. I know how Leilani is, and I'm pretty comfortable with her, that she's got a solid foundation. But yeah, I want to be able to have transparency with her and have those conversations.